Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Pathway to Success with Ali, the podcast where we explore the different routes people take to build meaningful and fulfilling careers. I'm your host, Ali, and every week I sit down with someone who's studying or working in a professional field to learn from their experiences, challenges, and inspirations. Today, we have a very special guest, particularly special one because she's not only just currently doing some amazing stuff, but she's an incredible young inspiring scientist. She's also one of my former A-level chemistry students. I had the absolute pleasure of teaching her, and she was truly a joy to have in class, full of curiosity, thoughtful questions, and the spark every teacher loves to see. She's now studying medical biosciences at Imperial College London and doing all of that while living with Stargardt disease, a condition that affects her vision, yet she hasn't let that stop her from pursuing her passion for science and making a difference. So in today's episode, we'll talk about how she found her path into biosciences, how she adapted to university life, and what she's learned about perseverance and purpose along the way. Aashna, it's so lovely to have you here. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing good and I'm really looking forward to sharing how I'm doing and what I'm doing career-wise and how university is going. So thank you.
Amazing. I can't believe it's been like a few years since you were in my chemistry class, and it makes me so proud to see how far you've come. We were doing, for example, titration not that long ago in class, and then did reaction mechanisms to now you being at university research, doing research projects. And so let's start from the beginning. What first drew you to sciences in the first place?
Yeah, I feel like, to be honest, I've kind of always been kind of into science. Like even in secondary school, I've kind of always been interested in the body and both chemistry and biology, to be fair. And then I did obviously I did maths, chem, bio for A levels, and even then I used to just be really interested in that kind of thing. And then also again how you mentioned with my visual impairment, that kind of also drew me further into science because I was more interested to also then learn about myself and my eyesight too.
Well, that's lovely to hear because I definitely remember your enthusiasm in class, and you're always digging deeper. And I remember you'd always have lots of questions in class, and you'd never fail to raise your hand to contribute. So did you say studying chemistry at A level influenced your decision to going into medical biosciences?
Yeah, 1,000%. I feel like there's quite a lot of crossover as well between chemistry and biology A level, and I would always find those things quite interesting too. And then also for my course right now, there's quite a lot of chemistry modules actually. So everything that we did in A level is super helpful for that. There is a lot of reaction mechanisms still. We did all the pH calculations, all of that. So I feel like doing chemistry definitely helps in what I'm doing now, and it also kind of me seeing that link between chemistry and biology was super helpful too.
That's great. So now that you're Imperial, which is, by the way, such an achievement itself, what made you choose medical bioscience in particular?
Yeah, so I mean, at first I was kind of looking into medicine actually, and I was thinking if that's something that I would want to do. But I feel like for that as well, I wasn't 1,000% sure if that's actually the path that I wanted to go down with. And obviously I know it's quite a lot of commitment. And I was like, if I'm not 1,000% sure on that, then maybe I'll also look at some other options.
Hmm.
And then I was also looking into biomed in general.
Yeah.
And I came across Imperial and they do medical biosciences, which is kind of similar to biomed in a way, but
Hmm.
it's more focused. It's a very different style of teaching, and I looked at all the modules and I thought that that was super interesting. And so I just thought it's definitely something that I would really want to go into and just see how it goes.
Amazing, amazing. And I know your journey is unique because you've been navigating university life with Stargardt disease. When did you first find out about it? And what was it that how has that shaped your journey today?
So the thing is, I've always had a visual impairment since I was first born. But the thing is, it's
Hmm.
really weird because I had no idea at all until I was at the end of year nine. So I was
Okay.
14. When I was younger, it would be really tiny things which I wouldn't be able to see. For example, if my teacher was writing something on the board in a certain color, I would be
Hmm.
looking at that. That's kind of weird. I can't really see that clearly.
Mm,
Someone else in the class would be like, "Miss, can you change the color? Because I can't see that." And I'd think, "Oh, okay, it's not just me thinking that."
mhm,
Or if someone was really far away and I wasn't able to recognize them, I would think that's kind of weird that I didn't realize that that was that person. But then as
mhm.
soon as someone else would say it's that person, I would then be able to kind of context wise and realize that is that person. So it wasn't when I was really young, wasn't ever anything that I really thought of, because like obviously I'm not gonna like question my vision, especially if I like no one in my family has a visual impairment or anything. But then when I was in year nine, like I started to like really like struggle to read the board like a lot more. And like, like when you have to like read things out loud and stuff, I would like really struggle, but I didn't
Mm,
understand why, because I could read it in my head, but then when I was doing it out loud, it would like not be like of a flow.
mhm,
And then so I remember I used to go to like the opticians and stuff, and they would just be like, "Oh, that I need to get like new glasses because like I'm just growing, so that's why I keep on needing new glasses." But I was like to them,
mm,
every single time I still get new glasses, I still can't read the board, and I still am
mm,
struggling to see. And they were like, "Oh, that's really weird." And then I remember because there was one time in the opticians where I just kept on asking, like, because I was really confused and I was trying to explain to them, like, even though you're giving me new glasses, I still can't see. So then they were like, "Okay, like, but let's like refer you to like an eye hospital and we can check that out." And
mhm,
then that's when I found out that I actually have Stargardt disease, which was really obviously like a massive surprise to me.
mhm,
Um, I didn't even like, they were like that I have visual impairment, and I was like, "That's so weird," because
mm,
I didn't know that I have a visual impairment. So Stargardt disease is like it's like a condition that affects my macula. So the macula is like the part of the retina which is responsible for like your sharp and detailed vision. So obviously if that part is like damaged, then I'm not going to have that sharp and detailed vision. So yeah, like it was just really interesting to find out. But it's like a progressive thing, right? So
mm,
luckily it's like, very stable at the moment. But like from
amazing.
when I was
It's good to
14,
hear.
yeah, exactly. But like from when I was like 14 till now, so now I'm 20, right? Like I have noticed like a massive decrease in my vision. Definitely, like it does definitely affect me a lot, like day to day, because like when I was younger, I would have been able to read from the board kind of thing, but now I can't at all. Or like things that I can see, like I can notice about like how big I need to have things. Like even in A levels, for example, like, I would like, how I used to always write my stuff on paper, and like even my exams, right? I did my A levels on paper.
Yeah,
Like, obviously, everything was like really big font, really like fat booklet. Like, it was like now I don't do that at all. Like, now I feel like it would cause me like a lot of eye strain if I was trying to read things off paper. So now I literally just
sure.
have everything online and I just write things on my iPad. But like, I just kind of adapt to things as we go along. Yeah, I just find it interesting because obviously, like, I feel like people won't ever realize as well that I have a visual impairment unless I tell them. But I feel like that's genuinely because I also didn't know for such a long time. So I already learned to like adapt to things. And even if I struggle with something or if I'm finding something hard to do, I kind of find my own way around doing it and will still do it, especially because
Yeah,
before I didn't even know that I had that I had anything up with my vision. So I would just still just do everything normally the same as everyone else. Yeah, so that's the thing. So even though I've like obviously I can still see things. So I've lost a lot of my vision to the point where I'm actually now like legally registered as blind, right? Like
mhm,
I like I'm in the category of like severely sight impaired, but
mhm,
like I can still see things like around me and everything. But it does affect like looking like I guess like recognizing people as well, and like reading obviously is quite like a long thing for me to do. Yeah, or like even when I'm say like on the tube and stuff, like obviously I can't like read all the signs and everything, but like I would just take my time with it. I would like get my phone out, take a picture of the sign like that. But yeah, it's just like I don't know. I feel like I very much adapted to it. But yeah.
that's really inspiring because you know what? I'll be honest with you. When you're generally diagnosed with anything in life, even at adult age, it's really hard to take it. And so
Yeah.
when you're in year nine and you're kind of starting to
Yeah.
realize this is something unusual, or am I feeling this way, or can I see the board, or what color,
Yeah.
whatever. You know, everyone goes through that sort of stage, and whatever it is, and it must have been so difficult at that point. So I want to know, like, in terms of what kind of you mentioned briefly about, for instance, in your A levels, you used to get the booklets with like bigger font, and then you'd write on paper. And now you're starting to adapt to using your iPad and using screens to kind of do your work, for instance. What other kind of tools would you say or strategies you use to help you on a day to day basis?
Yeah, I guess like so I love to use this app called Speechify. So
Okay.
it's like any text that I have on my laptop, it can be like literally, or even if I'm just like searching something online, it will like read it out to me, and like I can select the voice, like they'll have like different celebrities and stuff as well that the voice can be. And like you can also change the speed of it and stuff. So I think that's something which I find like super helpful, because like it just makes reading like way more like it feels like less of a really big task for me to do, because obviously when I'm reading it feels like so much more energy that I'm putting into it to be able to read. But it's
Yeah.
quite nice then to just be able to listen to something, and also if it's of a voice it's like way more engaging too. I also have like if I am looking at anything on paper, I have like a dome magnifier thing that I can like
Okay.
put on paper and like read like across that kind of thing. I think is quite helpful. Also, like if I'm out and about, they also gave me like I have like it's kind of like a telescope kind of thing, but like I can like focus it. So they originally gave it to me to use like on the tube, but like I feel like for the tube I'd rather just use my phone. But like, you know, if I ever go to like this is just random, but like if I ever go to like the theater or something and
Yeah.
like to like see the whatever they're wearing on stage or like see their face in detail, I would like put up my tiny telescope thing and I can like zoom in and see detail and stuff of that kind of thing. So I feel like those kind of things I do find really helpful. But like to be
Mhm.
fair, like even me just like zooming, like taking pictures of things and zooming in is like something that I like, especially when I'm traveling alone somewhere. Like I find that extremely helpful. Yeah.
That sounds like a really great system. You've got so many different kind of tools you use to help you. Imagine there must be still some challenges though. What has been the toughest part so far, would you say?
I guess like I would say like so uni wise, I would say like the workload I have found like last year quite intense. I think during my first year, it was like okay to like manage and everything. So I feel like first year generally is like less content and less
Yeah.
intense. So I feel like even though I was still, I would say like working like really hard, it was still like okay for me to manage and also have a lot of like me time and it was fine. But during second year, I would say that I could definitely notice like the increase in like workload. So I did find that like a bit difficult to manage, especially with how long it takes me to get through material. And then like also like to like, cause obviously to learn it, like we have like pre-reading and stuff to do. Like we always get like quite a lot of pre-reading actually. So that takes me like a really long time to get through. So I definitely think that that was quite difficult, but then I did just let the uni know and like we kind of like put in place. So like, for example, so for the pre-reading, I would like sit down with like the teaching fellow that was like the head of that module, and she would like go through it with me on like a Teams meeting. Like she would literally talk through the pre-reading with me, and I would also record that. So then I would kind of have like a video to refer to, because like I remember in A levels I would always use like videos and stuff to learn. So I feel like it was quite nice to have that put in place. That was quite good.
Nice.
Also though in uni as well, I would say like obviously like in uni because there's like so many people, right? So for me it's kind of hard to like recognize everyone as well straight away. So I think I really had to learn to be like really open as well with my visual impairment and like tell people like a lot more casually as well that I can't see things clearly. So then they're
Mhm.
also aware as well, because then sometimes it's harder for me to go up to people. It's like easy for people to come up to me because obviously I might not know where they are and I might not like realize that they're there. That's something that I've definitely been like I've definitely learned to do, yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I have to be honest, you've always been a resilient person, during your A levels. Like A levels aren't easy, and you made it look really easy, to be honest. And you've always been resilient, no matter how hard the topic was or what we were doing. And I think that is really good trait to have for anyone. And I think when you have to go through something and you kind of you have to be even more resilient than normal person. And so that trait of you, like I've always really liked, and I think I'm sure you've been resilient through year one and year two and into year three, and I knew you're going to do great anyway. So keep going with that. But on the flip side, what's been the most rewarding part of your studies so far?
Yeah, I would say like kind of also touching on what you're saying, I feel like it's shown me how determined I can be. Like if
Hmm.
I like really put my head towards something, like I know that I can achieve it. So I
Hmm.
think second year I've definitely like noticed that as well. Like I like because second year I did definitely find very difficult workload wise, but like I know that like if I put myself to it, like it's really good. But also like in uni in general, like I really love uni so much. Like I'm really enjoying it like a lot. Like I feel
Amazing.
like the people that I've met there as well, like it's so nice, and I've really gotten involved in, like, so many societies and everything, and I've met some really nice people, and, like, I feel like I have, like, a lot of really nice connections there as well. So uni in general, I've really enjoyed, like, and I'm really glad that I, like, kinda took on board this challenge, and I was like, "Yeah, like, why not? Like, I'll just go for this degree and try my best with it." So I'm really glad that I've done that because it's kind of, like, taught me a lot about that. Yeah.
Amazing. Because during your A levels, I believe, I can't remember if it was year 12 or year 13, you managed to do like a placement with, was it Nuffield, I think it was.
Yeah.
Like, so, before you went into applying for university and stuff, did you get a lot of work experience prior to deciding maybe what field or what kind of studies you want to do further? So were there any other like, talk about Nuffield experience as itself, because that itself is an amazing achievement, because not everyone was able to get that and you secured it. So tell us a bit more about the Nuffield placement and any other kind of work experience you may have done.
Yeah, so I did a Nuffield research placement, and that was like at the University of Oxford, like Natural History Museum that they had there. And it was like a 2-week kind of placement where I would go into the like I would go to Oxford and go to the museum, and we would like look at like museum specimens there. Like so we'd look at like a lot of like insects, for example, like stuck in amber, and like analyze that, and like they had a lot of like specialists come in to like talk about what they were doing. That was really interesting. And then afterwards we had to write like a whole like essay about like kind of what we had done and what we had learned from that experience. And then afterwards, then you get the award. But I'm really glad that I definitely did apply to that because after that, like I started getting involved with like STEM Learning UK, which is kind of the company that also runs like the Nuffield Research
Hmm.
Placements. So they've like I've been able to like be a panelist for like a lot of their events actually, which I've really enjoyed. Like they've had like some business breakfasts and stuff where they kind of talk about like students in STEM and like how important it is to have representation in STEM of
Yeah.
like people from different backgrounds or like ethnic minorities and all like people with disabilities, all of that kind of stuff. So I
Hmm.
really enjoyed that kind of thing. I feel like other like work experience wise, I feel like I just kind of like had a look at like online courses and that kind of stuff. But I feel
Hmm.
like the Upward Research Placement was kind of like the main thing which I did. But
Hmm.
yeah, I definitely have really enjoyed doing that. I feel like once I did that, it definitely because at the end of the Upward Research Placement, they basically had an event where like you go to talk about like they invited like a few people who did an Upward Research Placement to like speak about what they learned about it. And
Yeah.
I feel after I did that, that definitely like I feel like opened like a lot of doors for me because once I had done that, then like kind of STEM Learning UK were like, oh, okay, like would you be like okay with doing like this event or this event? So I feel like it was a really good thing to do.
That's brilliant. I think you touched upon a point about representation. I think that is really important, and the fact that you went and did this particular placement and representing, so many different aspects of your life with everyone there. So that's really good to see. So I also know you've done some advocacy around accessibility and inclusion. What motivates you to do that?
Yeah, I think it's such an important thing to do, to be honest. Like, I feel like, especially with me in my situation, like, I feel like it's really nice to spread awareness of like things such as like having an invisible disability, you know? And once you start like spreading awareness of that, like, it's just like helpful for more people to be aware because more people will have an understanding of that and then be more like open to understanding these kind of situations. I think as well, like, I would really like, there's one like influencer that which I see online, like, I think like on Instagram, her name's like Anastasia.blind, right? And like
Mhm.
she's like a Paralympic swimmer. And she also faced like a lot of vision loss. And like I always like see like I feel like I feel really inspired every time I see like kind of her posts and stuff. So it'd be really nice if like I'm able to also like spread even some of that kind of energy. Like I feel like it's just really nice to see that kind of thing and be open about and like have these kind of discussions because I think it's really important, especially like when you go into like the STEM field or like especially like for employers to like be fully aware of like these kind of situations and stuff as well. So I think it's really good to like just spread awareness of that.
100%, 100%. I think a lot of it comes down to education and informing people about, everything that we do in life. And I think raising awareness of such a great cause and, informing people is, you're doing a great job already. So, keep up with that because I think more and more people should be familiar with and know about it. And we should all do our bit to kind of raise awareness. So it's great to see that, you're doing all of those things, which is amazing. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners will connect with it and see the importance of knowing more about different conditions and what's out there, and especially in your field of biosciences and generally STEM field, there's always so much research going on, and I think a lot of people should read up on it and be familiar and aware of it because you just don't know who you might bump into, and you should know more about it. I think in general it's so much more enriching to know something about someone else when they're going through it, and it's a little
Yeah,
bit that little bit that we can do ultimately, right?
of
Amazing.
course.
So I'm going to go back a step because I know a lot of our listeners will be probably A-level students. What was some of the kind of strategies you used during your A levels to kind of get through the 2 years? Because obviously it's a very stressful time for many people, and it's hard to
Yeah.
juggle between the different subjects. And you did the harder subjects as well. So, what were some of the strategies you used that helped you to prepare for your exams or day to day in year 12 and 13?
Yeah, I feel like my main revision thing was actually flashcards, you know, like I found that so extremely helpful. And obviously doing like lots of past papers and everything, but like content wise, like flashcards I found so helpful. And I used to do those, like I literally just bought a pack of flashcards and I would literally like look at the spec and then like follow that and like write my flashcards from that and everything, anything that we learned in class. Or and then I would literally like just read through the like I would like test myself with the flashcards and then like continue to like go back over them and like I would
Hmm.
literally go through them like one by one until I was getting them all correct. And I feel like it's quite a long process, but if you start like at the beginning of each topic, like it's actually so good because it definitely like helped me stick all the information into my head. Like it was really helpful. I would say that's definitely like one of the key like revision things I did. And I think like also making like like blurting, right? I used to do that quite a lot as well, especially for like bio and chem. Like I feel like that's really useful in terms of just like writing everything that I remember from the topic and then like filling in any information of things that I missed and then
Mhm.
trying again and then do, especially for the like reaction like mechanisms and stuff. Like obviously there's like a like load that you need to remember. So I feel like for that, like I used to make like mind maps for that and like all the reagents and everything. So
Mhm.
I used to like literally just like mind map everything, I think is really helpful. And I think like try to not put too much pressure on yourself too. Like I know it's a super stressful time and like
Yeah.
yeah, but like I feel like the more calm you are through the process, the better that you will feel and the better that you will do as well. Cause you also have to like look after yourself too. Cause if you're stressing out too much, then it's gonna just make everything feel like really chaotic and you're not gonna feel like that you can like get through everything. But if you just take it step by step, like you'll be fine.
Yeah. I think what it is a lot of the times people just over stress, and
Yeah,
you could probably maybe remember this as well, like starting year 12 is always a bit hard anyway because the transition from year 11 to year 12 can be a bit hard. But what happens is it can go either way. Like you can start off thinking, I've done really well for my GCSE, so I'm going to be absolutely fine and not do much work. And then get into the real nitty gritty and it gets a bit hard. And then you're now all of a sudden really stressed out. And or you could take it from the start as, you know what, I'm going to put my head down from early on. So would you say like being organized and being kind of, having a system in place early on really helped?
yeah, definitely. I think that definitely like see what works for you at the very beginning. Like you can try out different methods or whatever at the beginning of the year and then just see what's working best for you.
Yeah.
I think like early preparation is like always best, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right. I think a lot of people just learn the harder way. Once they start, they realize afterwards, like, oh gosh, I could have done this, I could have done that. So I think
Yeah,
my advice to everyone listening, like who are kind of going through this phase in their life, is to be organized in life in general helps with everything in general, but try to be on top of it from early on. But yeah, make sure there's a balance between your mental well-being as well as your academic kind of side as well, because that's just as important. Otherwise, you'll burn out very quickly.
yeah,
Thank you for that because that's really kind of, I think you summarized some of the techniques you use really well. And I'm sure many of our listeners will be maybe able to try some of those things you mentioned, like blurting, which is, I think, is a really great revision tool that a lot of people don't use. I always try to say it to people, like, try this technique and see how it helps you, because you can just write everything down that you know. And then if there's things you don't know, you can kind of add to it by looking at your notes or your book, wherever it may be. Amazing, amazing. Thank you for that. So, what's next for you? Where do you see yourself heading after Imperial?
yeah. So I think like so at the moment I'm doing like a placement in public engagement, right?
Okay.
And I'm like really enjoying that. So that's like actually part of our year. So once you get into third year, it's like you can either do a lab placement or literature based placement or like a work placement. So I'm doing work placement in public engagement in Imperial. And like I feel like that's something that I might actually want to go into further because I'm like really, really enjoying that at the moment. And like the projects which we're working on are really interesting. And I'm
Hmm.
really enjoying like kind of being involved in something which is very like public facing as well, I think is really cool. So I think potentially I might actually want to go down that kind of route. Yeah, but like I think as well, like for me, like originally, like when we were doing like things in the lab and stuff, like I feel like that's quite interesting to do. But I feel like if I was to do that career wise, I feel like I would not really enjoy that as much. I feel like once a week was like kind of like a good enough like amount for me to do. Like I feel like career wise, that's not really the kind of route that I would want to go down into. But like my placement has really shown me that like I feel like this is something that I might really be interested in taking further.
Okay, amazing. That sounds perfect for you because I think once you go through a placement or you do a bit of like additional thing alongside your studies, you get to see what it entails, and then it's always hard to know exactly what you want to do. So like I wanted to ask you the question where like there are many people who are currently in a position actually don't know what they want to do. So like what would you say really kind of helped you over the years when you weren't really sure what you wanted to go down, what field or what studies you want to do further? Like, what did you do that helped you to make that decision ultimately to go with medical bioscience, for instance?
Yeah, I think like speaking to a lot of people that are also doing those kind of degrees. Like I remember they had like a kind of an intro session into our degree before like I started of like a student who was currently there explaining like what they were doing and how they were finding it. So I think definitely going out and finding people who are doing the course which you are thinking of doing and speaking to them and having the opportunity to ask them questions is something
Mm,
that's really helpful because that kind of can give you like a really big insight into what it is. Because I know it's really hard to like choose before you start because like obviously you're choosing from your own interest, but you don't actually know what it's going to be like until you're there
exactly.
and you're doing it, you know? So I feel like it's a really hard decision to make actually before you start uni because you never know what it's like until you start. So I
Hmm.
think like trying to find ways to like speak to people, like even if you just reach out to people like on LinkedIn or whatever that are like
Mm.
doing that you want to do. Like I'm sure a lot of people are usually really happy to reply and like just give you an insight into the course.
Absolutely. Do you know what you mentioned about LinkedIn? I'd recently restarted like reusing LinkedIn after a long time because once you kind of, I don't know, you might find this later in your life, but like once you kind of get yourself your kind of role in your career, whatever it may be, you kind of think, oh, there's no need for LinkedIn anymore, and you don't really use it as much. And so I had the same happen with me. So like I kind of used it initially to look for jobs and things like that when I was looking for teaching roles and things, and then
Yeah.
eventually like I kind of stopped using a full stop. But in my current role, like I try to engage with like external people, whether it might be ex students or current people working in different professional environments or businesses, to get involved with supporting careers events in schools. And I found that LinkedIn is such a powerful tool, and I know we recently connected through that as well, hence we're here. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of say to people is use LinkedIn as a powerful tool to connect with people within the industry. Like you said, like you can reach out to them and they'll probably be more than happy to kind of give you more advice on it. And you can find out more stuff, more kind of detail about what it entails on a day to day basis, for instance. And nowadays there's so many tools online available just at the fingertips, and you can easily find out more about a particular career pathway, and what it's like on a day to day basis. So definitely, I think for people listening in and you're not sure what you want to do, I would, follow up with what Aashna said about, using LinkedIn as a tool to kind of find out more about different careers, connect with people from the industry you're interested in, and hopefully they can give you a bit more insight into what it's like, and you can then decide, because it's really hard to know unless you're in it and doing it. Because
Cool.
it's all great and to kind of have ideas about what we want to do, but doing it in real time and day to day basis is not the same. It's really hard. Okay, cool. So, anything else you want to add to that before we move on to the next bit?
I feel like that kind of summarizes. I feel like just mainly reaching out to people and like just thinking about what career you might want to do after, and also trying to find people who are doing those careers. I think it's mainly about connecting with people who are doing what you're thinking of doing. It's
Yeah.
just like a super helpful way of doing that.
Amazing. So at the moment, in terms of obviously you're doing a very academic degree. So what do you do alongside it that helps you to balance your kind of mental well-being and kind of keeping you back, the workload balance? How do you manage that, like between work and life?
Yeah, so like definitely like a lot of society stuff I do.
Hmm.
Like so I've been really involved in like the Punjabi society as well, especially,
Yeah.
and like they have like so many events and stuff, and this year
Hmm.
like on the committee as well for it, which is quite nice. So it's really nice to have that like chance to like also help them organize events and everything. Also a lot of like dance stuff as well, actually, because like in my first year they did like a showcase where like we learned like classical dancing, and I've never done classical dancing before actually, but that was like really fun to like learn, and they used to have sessions like quite a few times a week. Or even last year they had like a lot of like bhangra sessions, which I really enjoyed. So I feel like anything kind of like physical activity like related is like really good to kind of like help balance everything, but definitely that kind of thing. And just like meeting up with your friends on campus, even if it's just for a bit, I feel like it's just really nice way to just kind of like de-stress and just like relax.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think one of the things like you mentioned about societies at university, like, there's a saying, there's people say, oh, you meet your best friends in university, or, that kind of thing. It's kind of true because you do meet some amazing people by joining various different societies, and you get to find, people coming from all over the world to an extent. And then you meet people that you never would have crossed paths with, and you feel, I feel like it's an opportunity to grow. And by getting involved with societies and doing various events that they put together, it's a great way to kind of balance your kind of stressful uni work and kind of having a social life at the same time. So I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that you join many societies, which has helped you, because it's not easy to get through studies without having other things around you to support you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good to just make sure that you're balancing your life, otherwise it can get quite overwhelming because you do have quite a lot of like deadlines and everything obviously like happening. So I think it's really good to have something that's set like a set time as well that you can just go and like unwind and just do something which you really enjoy.
Absolutely. I think one of the things I want to ask you is, obviously there are people out there who are going through maybe similar circumstances to you, but maybe with other conditions where it may be. What advice would you give to them in terms of getting through their studies, or even in their professional world where they're working? Like, what would be one piece of advice that you'd really want to kind of share with them that might help them to feel a bit more included, and the kind of motivation that they need?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I would definitely say to just like if you feel like that you're interested in something, but you're like kind of doubting whether that kind of environment is going to be for you or that career is for you, I think that you should definitely just kind of like like just go for it. Like I think that it's really important to like know that like especially if you have any other like health condition or anything, like the university has to put in things in place, right, to help you.
Mhm.
And they have to make sure that things are done in a way where you can like manage everything. So I think it's really important to just like have like a lot of like self-belief in that sense, I guess. And just really like if you are interested in something and you are passionate about something, I think you should 1,000% go for it. Like I feel like you should try and like I think it's really important to also like communicate with your university as well of any doubts I guess that you might have. But I
Mhm.
think that you shouldn't let something like that stop you from wanting to try to achieve that goal that you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people probably be in a position where they think, I feel a bit shy asking, or maybe I'll seem like I'm the odd one out, or, they might judge me, or they might feel like I'm doing, something to make their life more difficult. And I think naturally a lot of people probably do have that thought back of their head, but I think you should be okay with asking. And a lot of people, in fact, will be more than happy to help
Yeah.
if you're going through whatever it is you're going through. It's better to speak up about it and have
Yeah.
people support you along the way than kind of going through it in silence.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's really important to have like open communication about these things, especially if you do have any like other access needs and stuff as well. I think it's so important to make sure that like everyone at like your university is aware of that at the beginning as well, because like, they do want to help, so I think it's really important that like everything is really open. And if you are ever struggling with anything or if anything changes in terms of like what you need or like you're thinking that something else might help, I think it's really important to have like super open communication and just let them know.
Yeah, 100%. I think not just in a university setting, that could be in a school setting, that could be in a professional work environment. It's best to always open up and speak about it with your colleagues or your person who might be a line manager, or, be open about it and be transparent in what you're doing, because then everyone will be aware and they can help support you along the way. And it's important because nowadays we have a lot of people going through mental health issues and
Yeah,
in silence. And it's important that you speak up and seek help where needed, basically. 100%.
I think so too.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much so far for everything you've said. I want to kind of end it with something a bit more fun. So we're going to do a quick rapid fire round, and I'm going to say a few things. So the first thing that pops into your mind, I want you to just say that, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So favorite experiment you've ever done.
Immunofluorescence.
Okay. One scientist, past or present, you'd love to meet.
I would say Jennifer Doudna, actually. She's someone that like looked into like CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing, which is something that we did like as part of our project last year. So I feel like
Okay.
that would be really cool because like we also learn a bit about that. So that would be quite nice.
Amazing. Great choice. If you could instantly master any skill, scientific or otherwise, what would it be?
I'd really like to like I guess like public speaking actually is something that I'd really like to master. I feel like that's quite like a really good kind of skill and talent to have. So I think that would be cool.
Go to study, snack or drink.
Grapes, actually. I really like
Okay.
grapes. So I feel like that would be good.
Nice. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. One word you'd use to describe your journey so far.
I would say fulfilling, actually. Like, I feel like everything I've done so far, I've really enjoyed, and I feel like I've learned so much from like my journey so far. So yeah, that's the word I would go for.
I'm gonna add to that. I'm gonna say
Mm.
empowering.
Thank you.
Because that sums you up perfectly, because you've been an absolute role model, and the perseverance and the determination and the grit that you've shown over the years, like, I think so many people can learn from it. And you've always been somebody who was inspired me, as well, to in many ways, to kind of work hard in life, no matter what. And so I'm so grateful to have this conversation with you, and I'm sure so many other people will be able to learn from your journey as well. So Ashna, it's just been such a joy. Honestly, catching up with you and you sharing your journey makes me just so proud. You've turned challenges into strengths and shown resilience, really. What resilience really looks like, because I feel like you've kind of worked through life and you've done so many things so far. It's just so good to see. So again, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm sure so many listeners will be inspired by your honesty and determination. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you. So thank you for asking me to do the podcast.
Amazing. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in to Pathways to Success with Ali. I hope today's episode reminds you that there is no single route to success, just your own unique pathway. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a comment. It really helps to spread these stories further. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep believing in your own potential. Thank you. Goodbye.